Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled, the podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. Today's guest is Nancy Pickard, certified Relational Life Institute therapeutic coach, relationship expert, and author of the international bestseller Bigger, Better, Braver, Conquer Your Fears, Embrace Your Courage, Transform Your Life. Nancy, welcome to Control or Be Controlled.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I would also like you to add a little bit to that introduction I just did.
Okay, well, I'm a life coach and I'm also a marriage and relationship coach through the Relational Life Therapy Institute with Terry Real as the founder of the institute. So I'd say about 60% of my clients are couples and all relationship based, relationship skills, communication, vulnerability. And then about 40% of my clientele are just transformational. They're not happy in their life, or they need help in dating, or they need help in getting unstuck and getting outside their comfort zone, moving beyond their fears. And so that's basically the makeup of my clientele.
Thank you so much, Nancy. So I have some questions here for you, and I would like us to look into those questions. So many couples struggle with the same patterns over and over again. Tell us the first steps couples can take to begin healing their relationship.
Actually, they have to get an understanding or an acknowledgement that they're perfectly designed to trigger each other. Like the universe has brought them together because they need to heal their own wounds. And so they're going to be very triggering to each other until they actually figure out what those wounds are and heal their own wounds. So it's not that you've got the wrong partner, you've actually got the right partner, but it's the right partner so you can do work on yourself. And so when people come to me to work with me, they're unhappy, their marriage is falling apart, they're not communicating. One of them feels way more despondent and disconnected than the other. Usually, women are more unhappy in the relationships than men. Men are usually unhappy because the women aren't happy. Like they would be fine if just the women would stop complaining and would be happier. But so when they come to me, they each think the other person is the problem. And what they don't realize is that they're equally the problem. I mean, they're not always equally the problem, but they definitely both are triggering each other. And you have to figure out what those losing strategies are that they're doing that aren't working so that they can actually start to heal and start to repair, because every relationship is made up of harmony, disharmony, and repair. And the problem is we've never been taught how to repair. So once you learn how to repair, then getting into disharmony is not going to feel like it's such a huge deal because you know how to get out of it.
All right, thank you so much, Nancy. So, talking about childhood experiences and unresolved wounds, how do they influence the way we communicate and connect with our partners as adults?
You have to learn how to be a really good listener and how to not get defensive when your partner tries to tell you how they're feeling. So, generally, what happens is that women complain. Women are bigger complainers generally. And women complain, and men feel like they're not enough, they're broken, they're never going to be enough, and they're never going to make the woman happy. So that's the dynamic that gets played out over and over again until on the woman's side, she learns to make requests instead of complaints or demands. And on the male side, they learn to listen with curiosity about their partner's subjective reality instead of making it about themselves. So instead of thinking they're wrong, they're broken, they're not doing the quote unquote, manly thing of being powerful and being able to fix everything and control everything. So they're not listening. They're just listening to respond. But if they learn to listen just to the feelings that their partner is having, they can do so without getting defensive. And if they can do it without getting defensive, they can actually have a conversation. They can listen to what their partner wants to tell them. And then they get to decide if they want to do the ask that the partner is asking.
All right. What are some common losing strategies people use in relationships that actually creates more distance and conflict?
In RLT, which is Relational Life Therapy, we talk about 5 losing strategies: the need to be right, the need to control, unbridled self-expression, which is just feeling like it's your right to say everything that's on your mind, whether it's harmful, whether it's mean, whether it's respectful, just vomit out everything you want to say. That's unbridled self-expression. Unbridled self-expression is also taking a micro transgression and moving it into a macro. So instead of just saying you left the milk out and it's spoiled, you said you left the milk out and last week you did this, and then the week before you did this, and 6 months ago you did that. That's unbridled, and nobody can fight against that because you've added too many things into the pile. Women do this. Women do this way more than men do. We don't forget anything, and we use it at our advantage when we want to make a point, but it doesn't make a point because it's just too much. And then withdrawal, and then retaliation. So those are the 5. Retaliation is a perverse type of communication. So instead of just saying you hurt me, you're basically saying I'm hurt and you're going to hurt now. I'm going to make sure that you hurt so you know what it feels like. That's retaliation.
Okay, definitely. So moving on, Nancy. The audience would like to know as well, how do you actually help couples who are on the brink of divorce? How do you help them build trust and emotional connection?
I teach them about the neurobiology of the emotional brain so that they understand that there's a part of their brain that when they get triggered is in control. And that part of their brain doesn't care about emotionality or communication or vulnerability. And when you're in that part of your brain, you're going to get triggered. And all you can do is what you did as a child to stay safe. So if that's fight, flight, freeze, or fix. All of those were adaptations that kept you safe in your childhood, but they're maladaptive in your relationships. So I help the couple see what their losing strategy patterns are. We call it stance, stance, stance. I do this one, and then when I do this one, you do that one. And then when you do that one, I try this one, and then I wall off, and then you wall off, game over. So I have to teach everybody all of those, what they are, how to recognize them, and then how to move beyond them, and then how to be a good listener, how to get your needs met, how to ask for what you want in a way that's going to empower you and empower your partner. There's many, many tools that we use, and we also go into the family of origin, culture, the different wounds that you have, how they're playing out in your relationship, so that each party has more compassion for what's going on with the other person. So instead of thinking, oh, they're doing this to me, they can recognize that, oh no, they're doing the only thing that they can do when they're triggered, and I have to not have a conversation with them at this point. So there's a whole arc of work that we do, and I can tell you that it really works beautifully if people are motivated to fix their marriage. And sometimes the best motivation is basically that you're passing on all of this generational trauma and wounds to your children. And so you need to heal yourself so you stop passing it on and you become the hero by facing it instead of passing it on. You either pass it forward or you pass it back. That's what happens with all this generational wounding.
So, I was talking about couples who are not in crisis, who may want to strengthen and have deeper intimacy, but they are not in crisis. How can they uh, go about that?
It's really all the same thing. Whether you're in crisis or you're not in crisis, you're coming to me because you want better communication and you want a happier relationship. So it's still all the same things. You still are using losing strategies. You're still operating when you get triggered from the adaptive child part of your brain, which doesn't care about communication or vulnerability. So I have to teach you all the same things. It's just that there's way less work to do and it's a much quicker fix because you're really doing like a tune-up instead of an overhaul. But nobody grows up learning how to repair. Our parents never taught us repair. We never saw repair. We might see the arguments, but repair basically didn't happen, or it happens behind closed doors, and nobody really repairs with the children. So it's just not something we learn. And then we get married, and then all of a sudden, we have all these issues, and we don't have the tools or the know-how to make the relationship better. So it's all about learning. It's all about knowing you, learning more about you, and learning relationship skills. They're not hard once you actually know how to do them, but you've got to be taught how to do them. It's like, getting good in tennis or pickleball, or, I used to be a personal trainer. So I'm used to either being hired to help learn skills, or I hire people to help me learn better skills, and relationships are exactly the same thing. You need someone to help you, teach you how to do it better.
Okay, thank you so much, Nancy. So many people understand their fears intellectually, but still feel controlled by them. How can someone actually move beyond fear and create change?
Moving beyond fear is like going to the gym and learning how to lift weights. You just have to do it. You might get sore. You keep doing it. You're going to get better at it. So for me, feel the fear and do it anyway is an opportunity for me to know that growth is always on the other side of my comfort zone. So I actually can quiet my fear, knowing that I'm going to step into whatever I step into, and the fear is going to go away the moment I step in. And so I practice that all the time, just like a muscle. I do things that are outside my comfort zone all the time. I say yes instead of no to anything that's a growth opportunity for me. And so that's just become the way I live my life. So my book, Bigger, Better, Braver, Conquer Your Fears, Embrace Your Courage, and Transform Your Life, is a step-by-step how to do that. How to get out of the shadow beliefs that are keeping you playing small and keeping you stuck. How to move beyond them, mantras, tricks, exercises, all ways to move beyond your fear. Because fear does nothing but keep you stuck.
All right, thank you so much, Nancy. So, what types of clients benefit most from your relationship coaching? And how do you know when coaching is the right path?
I think coaching is always the right way to go unless you're not coachable. So, let's say a couple comes to me and I can tell that one of them really doesn't want to be there and they're being dragged in. I turn them down. That's not going to work for me. I'm not here to babysit, and I'm not here to force feed somebody to be more relational. I can work with any couple that wants to be better, that wants to be more relational, that wants to have a better relationship. But if you don't come to me with that motivation from both parties, I won't take you on. Because coaching is different than just therapy. It's very action oriented. You have to be motivated to change.
All right. So you have achieved major personal milestones, including climbing Kilimanjaro at age 61. Wow, that was wonderful, Nancy.
Thank you.
So, what did that experience teach you about courage, fear, and becoming a bigger version of yourself?
It proved to me that I can do anything I put my mind to, which I did, and I trained really, really well. And I actually was probably 20 years older than anybody else in this group that I was in, of strangers that I didn't know, and nobody could hike in like I could. I mean, I live in elevation, and I trained really well, and I was totally prepared, and I rocked it. And that just was the impetus to let me know that there's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it. And that was great for me. And also the fact that I did it at 61, it was a good reminder for me that age is just a number, right? I mean, I age is just a number.
Okay, so talking about trauma, tell us what generational trauma is and how does it show up in romantic relationships without people even realizing it?
Did you ask me what is relational trauma?
What is generational trauma?
Oh, generational trauma. Oh, well, generational trauma is, let's say, your parents, let's say, 4 or 5 generations ago, your family was slaves, or your family was in the Holocaust, or your family was repressed in somewhere. The trauma of that experience gets passed on through the genes and through the behaviors and the beliefs of each generation. So many generations later, if work hasn't been done, you're still carrying the trauma from past generations. Same thing with like psychological patriarchy. If you've got a way of believing that males should act and females should act, and that gets passed on generation after generation, it keeps going. Or carried energy. Like for an example, my mother's mother died when my mother was 2 years old. So she has an abandonment wound. I was never abandoned, but I had an abandonment wound and I didn't even know it until I started doing all this kind of work. And then it made total sense that I had carried energy. I was carrying my mother's sadness from her not having a mother. It wasn't mine. I had a mother until, my mother passed at 94. So I had I was very, very old when my mother died. And so it's those kinds of things. You could have 2 generations ago, you could have had an alcoholic parent, grandparent, let's say. And so you might have an alcoholic parent, but if not, the parents of the alcoholic children have ways of being. They're usually wantless and needless, and there's a lot of secrecy, and there's like family secrecy, and you don't talk about things. Those are all examples of what gets passed down, and then it becomes your way also, but it needs to go back. You need to pass it back so that you don't continue to pass it on to your own children.
Okay, thank you so much, Nancy. So, you help people through relationship skills, boot camps, and retreats. What happens during those experiences, and what do participants typically discover about themselves?
It's the same work that I do one-on-one, with couples weekly, but it's like on steroids because it's done. My boot camps are done in 2 days, and the relationship skills course is the same information as my boot camp over 10 weeks. So it's just digestible in smaller parts, and you get to practice it. But what you're learning are the skills that I'm talking about: What are your losing strategies? What are winning strategies? What's a feedback wheel? What are the tools for repair? How do you become relationally mindful? All the different concepts that I teach when I'm doing working with one couple at a time is the same thing that we're doing in groups. It's actually just a much less expensive way to do it because you're in a group. And then when you're in a group, you're also learning from the group and you're also seeing that your same issues are everybody's issues. So it's a bonding experience. And it's also like, wow, we're pretty normal. You know, I can see myself in this couple and I can see myself in that couple. And that's a bonding experience for people.
All right. Thank you so much. So, here is my final question for you. For someone listening right now who feels stuck in fear, unhealthy relationship patterns, or emotional pain, what is one step they can take today to begin creating change?
Hire me. You can read any of Terry Real's books, The New Rules of Marriage, Fierce Intimacy, or Us. All three of those will give you a lot of the information that I just explained. But all of these things are not going to be done without you getting support. So you could read the book, you could try them, but basically, whether it's the skills course or the boot camp or one-on-one, you need help. You need a coach. You need a therapist. You need someone that's gonna be able to help you guys figure it out, unpack everything that's happening, and help you make better choices.
All right, Nancy, thank you so much. Thank
You're
you
very
for
welcome.
sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and insights on relationships, courage, healing, and personal transformation. The message reminds us that healthy relationships are not built by avoiding difficult conversations. They are built by having the courage to understand ourselves, heal our wounds, and show up differently. Fear may be part of our story, but it does not have to control our future. So, for those who would like to connect with you and have a one-on-one coaching, or maybe attend a boot camp, how can they do that?
My website is nancypickardlifecoach.com, NancyPickardLifecoach.com. And my Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn have 3 or 4 reels every single week that go into depth in all of these concepts. You can learn so much just by following me on Instagram. But I offer a free complimentary call for anybody who wants it. If you go to my website, there will be a place there for you to actually hit on my calendar link and just sign up for a free discovery call.
All right, once again, thank you so much. And thank you to all my listeners for tuning in today on another episode of Control or Be Controlled. If this conversation helped you, share it with someone who may need to hear this message and leave a review to help others discover the show. Remember, the quality of your life is shaped by the choices you make, the patterns you keep, and the courage you develop to change them. Once again, thank you all for listening today. And thank you, Nancy Pickard, for coming to our show.